Hello everyone, welcome back to Jikook Moments. What if a small moment, one that only lasts a few seconds, could actually reveal something that can't be explained with words? Today we're going to talk about a moment at the airport that, at first glance, looks simple. No big dialogue, no dramatic scene. But somehow, this moment made many people pause, take a deep breath, and feel like they were witnessing something deeper than just coincidence. In the middle of the crowd, behind the flashing cameras, and among the seemingly ordinary steps, there was one interaction between Jungkook and Jimin that felt different. A spontaneous reaction. A movement without hesitation. And maybe a feeling that doesn't need to be explained. So, what actually happened in that moment? And why do so many people feel like there's something much bigger hidden behind it? Let's talk about it together. We all just witnessed a Jikook moment at the airport, and honestly, this wasn't just an ordinary moment. It felt like a scene that makes anyone pause for a second, take a deep breath, and unconsciously feel like they're watching a romantic movie, except this is real. No script, no direction, just two people moving naturally in the middle of a crowded and chaotic situation. At that time, all the BTS members had just returned to Korea after finishing their schedules. Everything looked normal at first, neat formation, alert bodyguards, and cameras ready to capture every step. But as often happens, something small slowly turned into something much bigger, especially when it involved Jungkook and Jimin. The members gathered on one side with the security team. Everyone moved along with the flow, except Jungkook. He stayed where he was, unhurried. At a glance, he looked like he was waiting for someone. Maybe a manager, or maybe someone more specific. He briefly looked toward the fans calling his name, acknowledging their presence, yet he didn't move. Meanwhile, Jimin had already started walking out. His steps were calm, but he was slightly behind the others. He was near Suga, but not exactly aligned. Almost as if there was a different rhythm in the way he moved. And that's where everything started to feel interesting. On the other side of the door, Jungkook was still inside. He hadn't followed the flow yet. But a few seconds later, as the distance between them became clearer, Jungkook behind, Jimin ahead, something happened that's hard to explain, but deeply noticeable. Jimin didn't really walk away. He stayed slightly behind, as if holding back his steps. And as if there was an invisible signal that only the two of them understood, Jungkook suddenly quickened his pace. Not just walking fast, almost like a small run, heading straight in one clear direction. Toward Jimin. What makes this moment even more interesting? He didn't stop near the other members. He didn't join Suga or take a random position. He went straight to Jimin's side, as if that had always been his place. In the middle of the crowded situation, Jimin's position looked well guarded. Bodyguards were on all sides, front, sides, even behind. But Jungkook's presence next to him felt different. Not just part of the security formation, but something more personal. From another camera angle, it became clear that they were actually in the same area all along, just separated by perspective. And before they fully stepped out, there was one small moment. Very quick, but impossible to ignore. Jimin touched Jungkook's head. A simple gesture. Almost like a reflex. But Jungkook's reaction was even faster than expected. In one motion, he shifted Jimin behind him, placing him in a more protected position. It wasn't rough. It wasn't dramatic. In fact, it was the opposite. Too smooth to be a coincidence, and too fast to be something carefully thought out. It was a reflex. The pure reflex. And that's where the moment starts to feel deeper. There are two possible explanations. First, the airport was crowded. The space was getting tighter. Jungkook might have just wanted to make sure Jimin had enough room to move safely. But the second possibility feels stronger. That Jungkook noticed something first. That he was aware of the movement around them. And without hesitation, without overthinking, he made one choice. To make sure Jimin was in a safer position. After that, Jimin was guided by bodyguards toward his car from another side, while Jungkook continued walking. As if everything returned to normal. But in reality, not completely. Because even in that moment, they still had time to talk. A small, simple conversation, but it felt warm. Jimin admitted he couldn't sleep on the plane. Jungkook responded casually, asking lightly. Jimin explained that he woke up when there were still 9.5 hours left in the flight, and even complimented their performance. And in the middle of that conversation, Jungkook looked like he was almost falling asleep. A strange contrast, yet very real. On one side, he looked exhausted. On the other, he was still present, still attentive. When the bodyguard started guiding Jimin to the left side, Jimin said, "Good job." A simple sentence, but meaningful. Jungkook responded while moving closer, as if he didn't want to miss that small moment. From this one clip alone, one thing becomes very clear. Jungkook's attention toward Jimin isn't something forced. It's consistent. It's natural. As they walked under camera flashes, media attention, and overlapping voices of journalists, they looked calm. No panic. No awkward distance. Just two people sharing space in a way that felt completely ordinary, and because of that, it felt special. But as we know, airports are never truly calm. The crowd started getting closer. The energy shifted. The noise grew louder. Some fans began running, trying to get nearer. And right at that moment, it happened again. Without warning, without pause, Jungkook moved. From Instinctive. He pulled Jimin behind him, creating distance between Jimin and the increasingly uncontrollable crowd. His body became a barrier. Not aggressively, but clearly enough to show one thing, his priority. Jimin. What makes this moment powerful isn't just the action, but how it happened. There was no dramatization. No attempt to look protective. It just happened, as if his body already knew what to do before his mind caught up. And for those who have been paying attention for a long time, this isn't new. Jungkook often shows this kind of reaction toward Jimin, especially in crowded places like airports. There have been moments where he held Jimin's arm, guiding him through the crowd, making sure he wouldn't feel overwhelmed. This isn't just physical protection. It feels like something deeper. A connection. A sensitivity. As if Jungkook has a radar that's always active when it comes to Jimin, detecting even the smallest changes and reacting without needing to think twice. And that's what makes everything feel different. Because moments like this often feel like something that only exists in stories, in imagination. Something too perfect to be real. But this is real. Captured on camera, clearly visible, and felt by millions of people watching. And because of that, the impact feels even deeper. Because in the end, it's not always the big moments that leave the strongest impression. It's the small details, a brief touch, adjusted steps, spontaneous reactions that reveal something more honest. Behind the stage, behind the spotlight, behind everything that makes BTS a global group, moments like this show something simpler, yet far more meaningful. Connection, unfiltered closeness, and an understanding that doesn't always need words. At this point, when the world sees them as symbols of success, moments like this remind us of their most human side. That in the middle of everything, they are still individuals who look after each other, understand each other, and become a place of comfort for one another. And maybe that's why this moment feels so unforgettable. Because without long explanations, without any confirmation, we can see it. And we can feel it. In the end, maybe that's what makes this moment so hard to forget. Not because of what's clearly visible on camera, but because of what's felt behind it. A small movement, a reflex too quick to be staged, and attention that appears without being asked. In a world full of spotlight and expectations, moments like this are rare, because they don't try to be anything, yet somehow say everything. So now the question is for you, was this just a coincidence? Or is there something we've been seeing all along, but are only now truly realizing? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoy content like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss more Jikook moments. See you in the next video.